Welcome to the Scale Your Business podcast, where we want to help small business owners like you succeed. I'm your co-host, Amari Gonzalez.
And I'm your co-host, Drew Drew Duperval.
I just wanna buy my mama a house. My mama house.
Thank you guys for tuning in today's episode. We have a lot in store for you guys.
Yeah, today I'm going to be interviewing Andrew, allowing him to share his story with you guys, just so you can get to know him a little bit better.
Let's get it.
All right, awesome. Let's get started then. So Andrew, do you want to start off by telling us a bit about yourself?
So right now I'm a freelance startup consultant working through my company, Drew Drew Duperval. My main mission is to help entrepreneurs monetize their skills and their passion, start their business, and manifest their 5-year vision. Right now, I'm also in the process of finalizing and getting ready to release my new 12-week startup bootcamp program, which is the main mission for that program is to help entrepreneurs navigate from the idea phase all the way up to first year operation. So essentially, it's really just helping them with the whole startup journey, but in an accelerated and stable manner. The program is going to start in April, so I'll be releasing more information about that shortly. I'm also the co-founder of a new startup called Young Hustlers Under 40. Young Hustlers Under 40 is an entrepreneur development network created to help entrepreneurs become a better version of themselves. And I'm also on the board of 3 other nonprofits. As far as these nonprofits, they're still in their startup phase, so a lot of things are still being ironed out, but I will be releasing more information shortly.
All right, awesome. Yeah, that's quite a lot of stuff there, and I know me and you met at Salem State as well too, so just want to go and break down a few of these key things. But first, you want to just start off with your story growing up through high school, college, into your professional journey all the way up to today.
So for me, it started back in high school when I would say that I really entered into this new version of myself, which was obviously to acquire and gain skills and to pursue entrepreneurship. It was junior year of high school. I asked my guidance counselor if I could go to a 4-year college and pursue the career of a doctor. And she laughed and said that, yeah, that's not going to happen based on my history, my record in school and all that sort of stuff. It wasn't nothing crazy that I was doing, but of course, I acted out here and there in class, and she just said like, yeah, you're not going to be able to go to a 4-year college. You should probably look into a 2-year college and probably look at a career that's a little bit less focused on merit. And that inspired me. It pushed me. I was already on the mindset of, yeah, I'm going to kill this semester. I'm going to get good grades. I'm going to go into honors class. I was already in that type of mindset, but just her telling me that really pushed me to go even harder and really prove it wrong, right? They say that a lot of times when people are going into these entrepreneur type ventures or they become great leaders, a lot of times they were pushed by some type of rejection. And that was my rejection at that moment, was my guidance counselor telling me that I turned things around, ended up graduating with a pretty decent GPA, got accepted to Salem State 4-year college. And I majored in biology. I was going to pursue that career of being a doctor. When I first entered Salem State, and it was my first semester, and I was in bio class, I did pretty good. I got an A for the semester, but to get that A, I had to learn a lot about cells and microorganisms and all these different subjects that I wasn't really interested in. I was more so interested in anatomy. That's what actually pushed me to want to be a doctor. So when I was in these classes learning about microcells and microorganisms, it kind of just turned me off a bit. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe being a doctor is not something I want to do for the rest of my life. And if you look at like how much time I'm spending just studying, how much time I'm going to have to spend to be an intern as a doctor, to go to medical school, how much money I'm going to have to spend. Maybe this whole trajectory or this career trajectory is not something that I would find myself enjoying much. So I started to look at my several different options. Even in high school, I always knew I wanted a business, even though I wanted to be a doctor. So my whole dream was to be a doctor and own a business or several businesses, because I knew being a doctor couldn't be the only source of income. So it made me, at that time when I realized, okay, maybe I don't want to be a doctor, maybe I should just go full force into business and investing into stocks and wealth management, all that sort of stuff. So I changed my major second semester freshman year to corporate finance and accounting, and then minored in economics. And I knew that was the right major for me ever since then. My first couple of accounting classes, my first finance classes, I knew that, yeah, this is exactly where I want to be for the rest of my life, or at least for the next 10, 15 years of my life. Fast forward, graduated college at Salem State University. Yes, freshman year is when I met Amari. We were part of a club. Together we ran the club, and we were able to really hone in on our leadership skills together, and iron sharpens iron. So I know Amari definitely sharpened me up as an entrepreneur throughout that college experience. And once we graduated, I wanted to continue that entrepreneurship experience and all the things we learned in college, whether it was on the board of trustees, or whether it was the Alpha Club that me and Amari ran together, or whether it was the brotherhood, whatever it was that I was a part of during college. I tried to shape all those experiences and all that knowledge into my future. So after I graduated, I was hired by North Shore CDC to be their small business consultant. And North Shore CDC is a nonprofit. Their main mission is to help with affordable housing and help the community of Salem, especially the minority community, the immigrant community, help them by bettering themselves, by providing them resources, providing them tools, especially affordable housing. But they also recognize that a lot of businesses in those neighborhoods needed education and needed resources as well to become bigger businesses and become a bigger and stronger source of income for those immigrants. So that's when they hired me. I got a lot of experience through that, learned about the small businesses, especially mom and pops, learned about their common challenges, their common needs, and it just pushed me to go harder with everything. And definitely look forward to continuing to help startups and grow in that venture.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Really interesting story getting to meet you as well too. I guess my next question for you would be, as you think about like some of the experiences you had growing up and at North Shore CDC, what are some of the key takeaways or lessons that you feel like currently help you today with Entre Dupe as well as young hustlers under 40, just to make that successful? Like, what do you feel like has been, some of the best lessons you felt like you've learned that have helped?
The biggest lessons that I really learned was really more so take your time, look at all the different responsibilities you have outside of your business, including your family, your friends, love, health, all that sort of stuff. Look at all those responsibilities and goals you have for those aspects of your life. Then take a look at your business goals and map it out properly. And I don't mean map it out for the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. No, I mean map it out for the next year, month to month. And then try to even map it out for the next 2 years. Really be intentional about manifesting that 5-year vision and making it realistic. I think being around so many entrepreneurs and startups, I've been around so many people with ideas. Only a minimal or a very small portion of those people have actually built or started building that business or manifesting that idea. And an even smaller amount of those people have opened up for business and now are ready to operate or are currently operating. So the reason because of that is because a lot of people didn't map out actual steps and a roadmap to accomplishing and manifesting that 5-year vision. A lot of them don't even have a 5-year vision. So I would say, yeah, that's my biggest lesson, is just take your time, pace yourself, take a step back, and construct that 5-year vision.
Nice. And as you think about like taking a step back and constructing that 5-year vision, what does that look like to you? I know some people, like my friend Ronnie, like to use vision boards where they kind of take pictures of all the things they want to achieve and put on the board to remind themselves. Are you kind of writing it down on paper, a combination of the both? What does that look like? Some people even, might take a whole day off, and, there's always I went into the woods and mapped out my whole life. But what's your process in terms of like, hey, I want to sit down and create my 5-year goals, and how often do you reflect on that, as well as maybe your 1 year or even monthly goals kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. So obviously, I just graduated college, so this is really my first time ever even thinking of a 5-year goal. The last time I ever thought of a 5-year goal was, hey, I need to graduate Salem State with a bachelor's degree and then start medical school. Obviously, I had to readjust that plan because I didn't continue to want to go to medical school, but I knew that 5-year goal was definitely to graduate college, even within that 5-year before hitting that by 4 years. So I knew that was always my goal, and I accomplished it. Now that I've graduated, this is really my first time saying, okay, I'm on my own, and it's my responsibility to set up goals that I want to accomplish by 5 years. So this is my first time, but I'm pretty comfortable setting up 1-year goals and seeing and yielding results with those 1-year goals and achieving those 1-year goals. I'm pretty confident in that. I do want to get better. So some of the things that I do and some of the things that I have done to help me plan out my 5-year vision is, one, watch a few videos on how others people do it, right? So my biggest inspiration or my biggest help with my 5-year vision is Patrick Bet David. He has a few videos on business plans and your next 15 moves. So I took that and I just started writing stuff down. I analyzed the past year, 2019, analyzed the good, the bad, and the ugly for every aspect of my life: health, relationships, business, personal development, fitness, spirituality. I took a look at all the good, the bad, the ugly of 2019 in those categories. Then for 2020, I put what are my 3 goals for each of those categories. So 3 goals for financial, 3 goals for my health, 3 goals for personal development, 3 goals for my relationships, 3 goals for my business, 3 goals for my spirituality. You write those 3 goals, then you write down 3 habits to help you achieve those goals, and then 3 habits you would like to remove, and that is stopping you from achieving those goals. So I'm attacking it in different ways, but it's only 3. So that way I don't get overwhelmed like, damn, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do that. Plus on top of that, I got to do this over there with that category. Instead, it's just 3 per category. And for me, I only put down 6 categories, right? So that's definitely helped me map out the next year in terms of what I want done and what I want accomplished, but at the same time, how it's going to get done. I think that's what we always forget when we're planning is, yeah, you can put down the goal, you can say you want to get that done, but how is it going to get done in that time frame? What resources do you need to get that done? What is going to help you get that done faster or efficiently? What is going to prevent you from getting that done, right? Sometimes you're a prevention of your own self. Your procrastination is preventing you. So on another page, you write down all the obstacles that are going to stop you from having a good year and stop you from achieving your goals. And you write down, okay, procrastination, laziness, sleeping in, whatever vices that you might have. You start writing down those obstacles because those are some of the things that are going to prevent you from achieving the goals, right? So those are some of the quick tips that I've been doing to help me just map out my year, map out the next couple of months, and at the same time, map out the 5-year vision.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome too. And I love the idea of also focusing on the habits and stuff that you personally have to remove that kind of stand in your way too. I always talk to Andrew, and one of my methods is we call it the Warren Buffett exercise, which you pick 25 things you want to focus on for the next 5 years. And then from there, you have to cipher it down to 5. So it's really, a lot of the time, the real power is figuring out what you have to give up and what you have to sacrifice as well to really achieve things too. Because I think so many people get focused on, hey, I want to do all of these things and stuff too. And that's great. But achieving that also means that, for every day, you stay in and, maybe you're working on building an app is one less day that you can go out and do other things. So it's all about prioritizing and figuring out which things are important to you and why. And then I think that once you have a clear focus, that really helps, because what I've noticed too is that people are much more accepting of you saying, hey, I can't go out tonight because, I'm sitting down building a business or doing something else, more than just saying I can't. It's like having that reason behind why you do everything, it really makes everything you do much more clearer and allows your whole life to be more intentional and focused on one path.
I agree.
So before I get into a little bit about your business, I've always been curious, what's the process like of joining a nonprofit on a board? I know in the beginning stages, they're still figuring out a lot of things, but how do you identify like, hey, I'm going to be able to give, 5 hours a week and in the process of also creating your own role? And how's that process been? I know you're part of 3 nonprofits, so if you want to go on a little bit about each, how you got involved and how you kind of manage the workload on top of your full-time entrepreneur endeavors. So
Now, that was a great question. And for me, it definitely differs depending on which nonprofit we're talking about, right? So the first one that I joined was One Little Light. So One Little Light is a nonprofit. We already got our 501c3. We already built the vision, built the mission statement. We're working on marketing materials, promotional materials, so that way we can start putting it out to the public and looking for donors and looking for the people that are interested in the work that we do. How I joined was Ozma, she's the founder of it. She already had a lot of that structure already built in terms of like what vision she had, what mission she had. And she realized like, okay, I need to bring a team on board so we can really manifest that. So what she did was she started inviting people that she knew that she already had worked with. So she invited me and just said, hey, would you like to be on it? I said, of course I would. Because I already knew what her story was. I already knew what her businesses were. I already knew what the nonprofit was. So I was like, yeah, of course I'll join that. And you just go to the board meeting and I got voted in because it was already her and I believe 2 other people at the time or 1 other person. So all she had to do was just vote me in. Now, as far as Elevate Network, Steven Nga, he's a good partner of mine. We work on other projects. He was working on a project with his friend in Africa who has this company called Elevate Network, or this nonprofit that he wants to start called Elevate Network. They've been doing events every year. They've already built a lot of traction in Africa with it. So now it's time to make it an official 501c3 in America. So now it's Steven's job to apply for that license or for that certification or that status out here in America. We're going to apply for that, get the 501c3 and establish Elevate Network out here. And once you establish it, you can already write yourself in within the application saying that I'm a board member. So I'll be the I'll be the secretary on that board. Even for One Little Light, I'm also the secretary on that board. As far as Strong Women in Action, Florette Lucent, that's my cousin. She called me one day, told me that she was about to have an event in 2018. We had the event. It was a great event for her nonprofit called Strong Women in Action. We wanted to do a lot of more programs after that, but we knew that time wasn't in our hand, and even just money wasn't on our side. So we knew that we had to take a step back and kind of just build a team around the nonprofit. So she looked around for others. She also co-founded it with her friend, LaShonda. So both the 2 of them, they were building Strong Women in Action in terms of the idea, the vision, the mission. And then they brought me and a few others on board by just voting us in after they got approved for the 501c3. And the voting is very similar to Ozma's One Little Light, where you just come into the meeting and, they just say, hey, do you guys agree that we vote on this person? Boom. And then I'm going to be the treasurer for that board. Now, as far as like time and commitment, all that sort of stuff, it's very lenient. As a part of a board, you don't really do much except dictate and set rules and really tell. You really just help the founder or the chief executive. You really help them run the business better. That's really what a board does. Some boards are required to contribute money, or they're required to contribute connections. So a lot of people get chosen to join a board because they have a lot of connections that can help with grants, or maybe they have a lot of money that they can provide a grant themselves. But yeah, it differs on which nonprofit you're part of. So if it's a startup nonprofit, that's going to be completely different with an established nonprofit.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's a really good segue into what you do full time. So as you think about the many different businesses that you've worked with and the many that you hope to work with in the future, at least kind of stemming back into the ones you worked with in the past, like what are the different stages you worked at and the kind of different challenges, just very high level and stuff too. And then maybe some of the industries that you work with or perhaps have been most excited to work with too along your vision so far. I know there's many more in the future too, but just in terms of your current experience and all the ones you work with, I'd just like to know a little bit more about that. So
Of course. Nah, great question. So a lot of the businesses that I work with, many of them are in their startup phase, 1st to 3-year operations. Some of them are in their 2nd year. Some of them are in their 3rd year of operation. Some of them are in their 1st year. All of them do not have an employee. As of today, all of my clients don't have an employee. They're just working by themselves. So what we're doing is a lot of writing down their systems and writing down the operations, right? Creating that operational procedure manual. And what that is just a manual or a booklet of what do you do on a day-to-day basis, on an hourly basis? What is necessary to be done? What is also the quality control measurements or quality control deadlines that you have on a day-to-day basis, right? So one business that I work with is called Romeo Smoothies and Juices, and the whole mission with that is to provide smoothies and beverages to help people be more healthier, right? Make it more accessible in low income communities. So a lot of the things that we're doing is writing down the processes it takes to make the smoothies, the process for her to be at the store, right? Writing down all those processes and things that need to be done so that way she can delegate. Because like I mentioned, many of the businesses that I'm working with, in fact, all of my clients as of today, all of them have no employees. So they're doing all the work. They're self-employed. And as a business owner, you want to make sure you have a plan in place to remove yourself from wearing the hat as a self-employer to now wearing the hat as a business owner, right? And calling the shots and delegating the processes to other people. So it's important that you know everything it takes to run your business and to operate your business. So that way you can remove yourself from the business, go on vacation for a year, but yet your business is still operating the same way as if you were there, if not better. In order to help startups overcome the common obstacles immediately before starting the business, I'm helping them with their operational manual, helping them with their 5-year vision. What do they want to become? What is going to be required in terms of processes, systems, resources, and personnel? What type of people will you need in your business in order to achieve that 5-year vision?
yeah, that makes sense. It's really interesting getting to hear the stories from you as you really help a lot of these business owners really kind of standardize a lot of the things that they do. I was just talking to you earlier before this about, this 3-step framework that my company uses, and it's, awareness, achievement, and optimization. So awareness is, just getting people generally to be aware. So a great example for Romeo Smoothies would just be like, hey, have you ever even thought about using smoothies or having them on a week-to-week basis? There's a lot of people that aren't even getting the vegetables or the fruits that they need. And, even for me, I constantly use smoothies because it's just a great way. After I finish it, 8 ounces, I'm done with all the kale and, all the veggies I need for the day. So I'm not sacrificing nutrients, but I also don't have to sit down and eat a salad or do all of those things, even though you should do that as well too. Achievement is, hey, we're doing these things, but now let's just figure out how to process and standardize it out a little bit more just to make it more efficient. And then optimization is kind of getting down to the more nitty gritty, which means you've already, you're using a vendor like Andrew or something to provide those services. But now it's just like, hey, Andrew, 2% of our people that are on the email list are buying. How do we get that up to 4%? And how do we get, 1,000 people viewed our campaign? How do we get to 2,000 people and such? So much more the technical down the realms. In addition to all that work at EntreDupe, I also understand that you're the co-founder of a startup called Young Hustlers Under 40 Network. Yes, can you explain a little bit more about that and your role in?
So that's my baby. That's my startup, right? That's my social proof. So as a consultant, I don't necessarily have to build a business with that, right? It's my freelance business. So that's me going and me putting in the work. So if I don't work, there's no money. So that's not a business, right? That's a freelance type of position that I hold as a startup consultant. In the future, I do plan to turn that into a business by hiring an assistant first and then hiring a different business consultant and then teaching them the processes and teaching them systems so that way they can provide the same type of consultation that I'm providing. Obviously, they're going to have their own taste and I'm going to have my own taste and own style. But at the same time, I have a framework that I use to help these startups. So if I can teach that to a new startup consultant, they can now use my framework and work under Entre Dupe, and now we can start scaling Entre Dupe. Even if we hire a web developer, or we hire a photographer or a videographer or a graphic designer, now we're hiring these roles in-house, and now we can go out and start producing content at a much greater scale and have our Entre Dupe style of content that people want to create content with. But that's Entre Dupe. As far as Young Hustlers Under 40, yes, that's my new startup. So that in itself is completely a startup, right? So we're in our first year. It's not our first year of operations. We're in our first year of really beta testing, right? We tested out a few events last year. We tested out running a membership. People kind of engaged with the membership. We were only able to sell 2 memberships. So it wasn't a great success with the membership portion of it, but the events had some good turnout. Each event, we were building more and more anticipation and more people were coming to our event. So we realized that we can make a product out of these events, including our membership. We can make some type of a product, but we're going to need to learn what that product looks like for the people that we expect to be our target audience. So with that being said, we're doing a lot of work in 2020 to learn and really get to know our target audience even more. We're going to be asking them questions, getting feedback from them, exploring different target audiences, different niches, and seeing, okay, which target audience can we serve the best or more efficiently and build a business out of helping them, right? Because just because you can help your target audience doesn't mean you can necessarily build a business out of it. So in this first year, we're going to be testing a lot of our assumptions. One of our biggest assumptions with Young Hustlers Under 40 is that our brand, our individual brand is not as strong as our accumulative brand. So we're betting that if we all come together and put our brands together, then it will be much easier to build our individual brands from that, right? So that's one assumption. We're going to test that out. The other assumption is that entrepreneurs like to go to events and learn from experts. That's an assumption that has been tested and proved correct in many cases, but it's an assumption to say that that's a scalable and profitable business. So we're going to be testing that out. Hosting events, is that scalable? Is that profitable? I believe it is. We're going to test that assumption out. So there's quite a few assumptions that we want to first test out and validate before we go into our first year of operations, which is obviously just selling the product and collecting revenue and collecting data and improving the product and optimizing funnels and all that sort of stuff. So we're not there yet, but yeah, that's my baby. That's my startup. It's my first startup. It's my first business. So this is where I'm going to be putting all the things that I help other businesses with, all the tools that I help other startups with. I'm going to be for sure putting that into Young Hustlers Under 40. So y'all going to see whether or not are my strategies good, are my tactics good, or is my consultation good? Let's find out, but as of now, Young Hustlers Under 40 is taking a very slow journey because that's how I see how business is. I don't think you can, if you're building a business that's never been created before, then it's not going to take that first year. It's going to take a few years before you even know how to build the business or what the business looks like. You got to test out the service or the product for a few months, a few years before you can build a business out of it. So we're not in a rush right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's really exciting to get to see the process of you building the business. Our listeners will get to be a part of that process too. Maybe some of them will even attend Young Hustlers Under 40 events. So I'm very excited to see the future of how all this plays out, as well as Entre Dupe and your role with the many different nonprofit boards. So just to cap this off, I'm just going to go through a quick speed round of questions. Some of them planned. Some I'll see if I can improvise on the spot and be creative. And then after that, we'll just cap it off with a few takeaways that you want the audience to leave with heading out. And then that'll be the end of this episode.
Sounds great.
All right. Awesome. So favorite sport?
Favorite sport is boxing.
Nice. Who's your favorite boxer?
Floyd Mayweather. Best ever.
That's awesome. All right, so quickly, favorite basketball team?
Favorite basketball team today or lifetime?
Let's do both.
So I would say today, the Lakers. I love them. It's
Nice.
a young crowd. I love LeBron's leadership, and he's really making these players better players. I like how Rondo is doing his thing right now, too. All time, damn, that's going to be tough. Kind of just, I would say, like top three. I'm going to say definitely Michael Jordan's team. I'm going to say when he got Scottie Pippen. So I think that was what, like, maybe like when they got their first or the second championship, I believe. Second and third championship, you know, when they were versing like the Detroit Pistons. And they were also versing like Utah Jazz. When they were having those rivalries, I love that Jordan team. And because they were well-rounded.
Nice.
Now kind of going into the new era, I would say I also like the Warriors at one point were my favorite team when it was just Steph and Clay. Just seeing Steph come out of nowhere and really be the underdog in a lot of cases, but really kill. He went for the kill. Like, that's a real champion. Stephen Curry got real champion in him. It doesn't matter. Like, yeah, he got KD after, but he got real champion in him, and I see it. So I like that team. And for the third team, I'm gonna say Kobe Bryant's team, right? We know he didn't pass the ball a little bit. For him to get 5 rings, bro, like, you know, like Kobe just himself is a great team. So shout out to them.
Nice. That's awesome. I guess for secondary sports, do you watch football at all? Or
Football? Nah, I don't really watch too much football, but I do like the Patriots just because they're killing. I remember the Vikings, though. I remember Brett Favre, right? Or Pat Favre.
Brett Favre, you got it.
Favre, when he came out of retirement at 40 years old and joined the Vikings and went on that winning streak. I don't think he won that year, but that winning streak, I loved it. The passes he was throwing, they were medium passes, you know what I mean? They weren't too long. They were just medium, accurate passes, just really pushing that drive. It was a long drive, but he was winning them games like that. Like, it was just such a vet. He was just showing his vet status with that year. So I really like that team. I ain't even going front. And of course the Seahawks, because I like Marshawn Lynch, but even Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
I think he did a good job too with the Seahawks.
Nice. That's awesome.
And the Eagles too with Michael Vick. Talk about football a little bit.
No, that's awesome. I followed it a ton growing up. Still follow a little bit to this day. Went off for a few years, but gradually getting back into it. Favorite place you traveled to so far outside of Mass?
Damn, very limited on that. So obviously, I'm gonna have to say Las Vegas. Our trip to Las Vegas was great. I definitely enjoyed that. So that was definitely my favorite experience.
Nice. Favorite class you took while you're at Salem State?
Favorite class? I gotta give it to Sanjay Jain. I hope Sanjay Jain's listening to this too.
I love it.
Because which class was this? It was all his classes, really. Because, man, he's a hard teacher. He don't take no for an answer. He's just a very disciplined dude. I gotta reach out to him because, you know, it's the teacher that makes the class, right? And for him, he always saw me as like his pupil, I can see he saw maybe himself and me in some ways, you know what I mean? And he always was pushing me and challenging me and just questioning me, but he knew that I could handle it. So definitely his class, the class that we took last was the financial analysis, right? Or investment analysis, right? So that's when we learned about just like how to run models on securities, equities, bonds, and things of that nature. So that investment analysis class was definitely my favorite and the most challenging. I failed it 3 times, bro. I had to take summer class for that, bro. But summer class came hard, got a beat.
Nice. Yeah, that's what's up. Favorite food?
Favorite food?
Or at least one on top of your mind now.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been eating a lot of pizza lately, but that's not my favorite food. I would say my favorite food, no bull right now, bro, is Mexican food. Like, this past year, since I got put onto Mexican food, I'm like, yeah, this food is rocking. You know what I mean? The guacamole, the rice, the beans, the steak. Mexicans really be putting it down.
Dude.
So,
Every time he comes over, he's like, "Where's the nearest Mexican spot?" And he want real Mexican food. Yeah.
I had Taco Bell. I need the guacamole, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I need the tamales.
Tamales, I love it. And on the topic of favorite food, favorite drink.
Favorite drink, like beverage overall, or you talking about alcohol?
We'll go beverage overall.
Beverage overall, man, I like water. I used to like a lot of juice. You know what I mean? I can never go wrong with mango juice. I love mango juice, but yeah, water hits the spot every time, bro.
Nice. Favorite book that you've read so far?
Favorite book right now, my favorite book is The Lean Startup because it applies so much to my life right now as an entrepreneur, and it helps me so much with my business and thinking about how to progress with it. But favorite book over time will have to be the Malcolm X biography, just because that definitely helped shape me to the man that I am today, right? Just understanding and knowing and being aware that there's a black man who was portrayed as a gangster who was able to turn his life around and be one of the most intellectual visionaries of our of humanity, really. So shout out to the Malcolm X book by Alex Haley.
That's awesome. Favorite podcast that you're currently listening to?
Favorite podcast, I would say what is it called? 10X Your Business, 10X My Business. Forget the exact name of it, but I know it's something around like 10X. And the reason why I like that podcast is just because he invites speakers who are really killing it. I'm sorry, it's called Growth Experts with Dennis Brown. So that podcast, I really enjoy it. The guests he be bringing on are always powerful. And I also like Tom Bilyeu's podcast too, and the Mark Tech podcast as well. So just mostly business podcasts that I listen to.
Awesome. And then to wrap it up for this speed round of questions, 2 things that are on your bucket list, 2 things you'd want to achieve in your lifetime and nothing business related.
2 things I want to achieve in my lifetime. I want to marry my soulmate. You know what I mean? I think in today's generation that's becoming more obsolete or more of a hard to reach goal. So for me, yeah, just marrying my soulmate, and like I think that would be a very big milestone for me, is when I find someone that I really enjoy spending time with, if not all my time with, and marrying that person and not letting them go. And my second bucket list would probably be having a family. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody can have a kid. Anything can happen, like to me or my future spouse, right? My soulmate. So, you know, definitely having a family and raising children, multiple children, not just one. I want a few. You know what I mean? I want a little basketball team. You know what I mean? Starting 5. Just give me the starting 5.
Just give me the starting 5.
But yeah, that's a big milestone for me.
Oh, awesome. I love it. What about skydiving?
Skydiving, man, I ain't really interested in that. For me, it's always been like, why do people want to make themselves scared? That's fun. Make themselves scared. Like, I mean, yeah, overcoming your fear is always a great blessing. I don't have a fear of heights, so it's like I don't really need to overcome that. You put me in a helicopter, I can look down. I'd love to look down, but as far as like jumping down, like, yeah, I guess I'll do it just to say I did it, but it's not like I don't really find myself saying, yo, I gotta go skydiving. Like, because I think there's some people who really get a rush where they would want to do it every week.
Yeah,
every week I gotta go skydiving, and that's just not me. Like, I gotta just read or sit at the crib. Like, I don't know, but I guess I'll do it. You know, if someone wants to do it. But that's it. I don't think I would find much enjoyment. I'll be happy I did it. I'll be with a lot of adrenaline, but I think after a couple of weeks I'll forget about it.
Yeah, that's funny. That's one of the things on my bucket list, but the main reason why is I'm scared of heights. But no need to skydive, because in entrepreneurship, you're jumping out of a plane and you're building the parachute on the way down. So
People are looking at you like crazy, like, yo, pull the parachute, bro. Like, man, I still not here. I still waiting, bro.
He said it's still not here. All right, I'm dead. All right, just to cap it off, as you think about the whole conversation today, building the parachute, the businesses that you work with, the nonprofits, your background, the things that have motivated you. If the audience could only take away, let's say 3 things from this conversation, what would you want them to take away?
Well, for one, thank you for even sharing that analogy, bro, because that was such a great analogy. I would say before you jump off the plane, get an operational manual to how to create the parachute. You don't want to be trying to figure it out on your way down. You should already have some type of instructional manual that will tell you first do that, first then do this, then do that, then do this, so that when you're on your way down, you're going to build that. You know you're going to build that parachute before you touch the ground, which is obviously learn how to create a business, learn how to run a business, learn how to scale a business, learn how to start a business, learn all that sort of stuff first. Have mentors that are already experienced in those areas. Have some type of a manual or guides or books and a lot of resources to help you through those different areas, and then start the business and then launch it. You know what I mean? Get that stuff beforehand. Don't do it while you started the business, because that was one of my biggest things that I did, was trying to start the business while still learning about business, and that didn't really work out too well. And 2 other ones, I'll go through those ones quicker. Another key takeaway is, again, just really, because I don't want to mention operations because that's pretty much what I just mentioned, but I think for small businesses, a good key takeaway is marketing and funnels and sales. As I was explaining just a little bit about being more intentional with your content and knowing what that content is created for and where does it fit along the customer journey and helping them go through the customer journey. Just being very intentional about that stuff and write it down. I think too many times people go through a free-for-all with marketing. You know, they just say, okay, I'm just going to post everything. Hey, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we do. And a lot of times it's just post. It's like templates that they're using and they're changing a few words. People are so lazy to just create a video. What I've noticed is that where I provide a lot of value is just saying, hey, we're going to shoot an About Us video. Just that About Us video provides so much value because many businesses don't even have that. And with that About Us video, you're not selling. You're really building trust. You're building credibility for your name and the company. With that trust and credibility, those people are now more likely to watch your other content. And when that other content comes out, that content can be more salesy and have more call to actions, right? And they'll be more likely to respond and engage with those call to actions because you already built trust and credibility with them. So don't get into a rush trying to sell whatever you have. Take a step back with the marketing. Look at it as like it's dating. You don't want to just tell the customer, hey, buy on the first night. If you do, most likely they're not going to buy again, because they just bought off spontaneous or off instinct or whatever. So for them tomorrow, they're gonna be like, damn, why did I even buy that? I didn't even need it. You know what I mean? Take your time with your customer. Get to know them individually if you can, because each customer is different. Just because they all need water, some people might need water that is ionized. Some people can taste the little metals or whatever with water and they're picky about that stuff. Learn your customer and then provide them with the product and the solution. And the third one is really just, just educate yourself. Be around podcasts like this, listen to podcasts like that, read more books around it. Kind of going back to the first takeaway that I said, really just educating yourself around business. I think not enough people are intentional about growing themselves within the knowledge of business and growing themselves, period. So earlier in the podcast, I was mentioning how I made my 5-year vision or my 5-year plan, and a lot of it was just me as Andrew, not as the business, right? So the business itself has its own 5-year plan, but before I can do that, I need to know what's Andrew's 5-year plan and vision, right? Because that will determine how much time and effort that I can put into the business's 5-year vision. So be very conscious about putting in education and growth, personal development and personal growth within your 5-year vision and your 5-year plan.
All right. That was a great episode, Andrew. Just want to say thank you for allowing us to learn more about you, your experience. Really wanted to go in depth on this episode. As you potentially listen to future episodes, I think it's important just to know who it is you're listening to, a little bit more about, their journey, why they started, and hopefully some of it relates to you. Would love to hear about your journey and how it starts. So definitely interact with our content. And as always, don't forget to leave a review on your platform of choice, whatever it is that you use to listen to your podcasts. But I just want to say thank you. You guys could be anywhere in the world, but you were with us. And so thanks for listening. All right, have a great rest of your week. And Andrew, if you want to just say any last words.
Yeah, man. Thank you for the great questions that you had. Definitely just it sparked my brain and got me going in different directions. So thank you for those great questions. And thank you guys for listening, of course. And like Amari said, I know there's so many things you guys could be doing, but instead you're listening to our podcast and you're giving us that time. So thank you. And if you really want to support, please just share it to a friend. If you know a business or a startup or an entrepreneur that would benefit from this podcast, please share them the link, show them the video, show them the podcast, show them the Instagram, whatever it may be, just show it to them and really get them to test it out, hear it out, and see if it fits them or if it benefits them as well. If you think you would be a business that needs to be on this show to help other businesses, please reach out to us, contact us. If you have any feedback, let us know how we can improve, all that sort of stuff. Comment on it, subscribe, leave a review, do whatever you can to help give us feedback and give us more data. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. We'll see y'all on the next episode. Peace.
Adios.
It's Moon. I just wanna buy my mama a house.